Anthony, I'm hearing Thursday is the new Friday. Well, at least it comes to our show.
I think you should ask us something.
That's a great idea. Let's do it.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. Today is September 8th, 2022. That's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman. So great to see and hear each and every one of you. Anthony, how are you, my friend?
I look unshaven. I look like you.
Yeah, well, I was wondering why you look so damn handsome today. Now we know the reason.
One day I'll get the screen right.
All right. While Anthony, you continue to struggle with your green screen problem over here, I just want to remind everybody out there, hey, I know you know this. We talk about it all the time, twice a week, as a matter of fact. But Radisson Hotels America is now part of the Choice Hotels family in one of the smartest deals of the year. Choice Hotels has acquired Radisson Hotel Group Americas in order to help you, the investor out there, be even more successful. Now, brands such as Radisson Blue, Radisson Red, Country Inn & Suites are all going to be supercharged, turbocharged even, because they're going to be part of that Choice Hotels reservation system. Remember, Choice Hotels was the first one to start those soft brands out there with the Ascend Collection. I think that was back in like 2009. They've proven to be an industry leader ever since. So go check out the franchise teams for both Choice Hotels and Radisson Hotels America. Thanks so much for listening, Anthony. How are you today?
Go do that.
Yeah. So what's new with you? A lot of there's some good news out there. All right, producer Suzanne. We didn't quite get there yet. I'll take it off. And that was a little graphic for our audio people over there. So today, everybody, we got a couple of news stories, but we're also going to be answering your questions in a little segment we call Ask Anthony and Glenn. There's our official graphic now at the right time, in the right placement. And yes, I'm being pretty cocky about that, Anthony, because she only had to remind me 45 times to do that before the show.
Well, you know what, Glenn? I am amazed with you. This is our 750 billionth show.
That's right.
And every time I'm impressed with you.
Is it an opposite day? I got to go check my calendar, see what's going on over here. Anthony, so you know what? Big news today. Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. They've got 9,000 hotels in 95 countries. Well, they're not satisfied with that at all. No. They just bought the Vienna House brand for $44 million. That's about 44 million euros now that exchange rates are so favorable to us Americas. They're adding this upscale, mid-scale portfolio of approximately 40 hotels and 6,000 rooms to the brand, acquiring it from Berlin-based HR Group. It's a big deal for these guys. Not a ton of cash compared to some of the other deals we've seen, but really looks to me like they're trying to solidify their European stronghold.
It's a pivotal move. It's one of those moves where it really makes everything else work better and bigger and faster. Now, talking about that,
Yep.
Now we know the Salamander brand because we've had Miss Johnson on, and a lot of people on the East Coast may know the Salamander brand. But they've just got, what I'm hearing is that there's an article that I sent you that we can't talk about the general manager yet because I haven't got permission yet.
Yep, but we know who he is.
We know who he is. But the Salamander has just taken over the old Mandarin Oriental, and it will be a Salamander brand. I'm really excited about that.
That is super exciting. I mean, Salamander is a high-level brand, and it is really exciting to see it come to Washington, D.C., and I can't wait to get the chance to go over there and check it out.
And I went to Mandarin Oriental probably 18, 15, 12 years ago. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking to Washington, D.C. with my kids. My kids, they were young at the time, and they had to use the restroom. And I was like, listen, I know where to go. You go to five-star hotels to use the restroom. And I walked in, and we used the restroom, and I remember not being inspired by it. I don't know why. So I'm sure Salamander will bring back a great product.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. So when you're looking at a luxury hotel, Anthony, let me ask you this question. A little reminder to anyone out there, if you got a question for us, feel free to drop it into the comment box and we'll do our best to answer that.
I'm just thinking if I have permission, because I don't remember hearing back. If I have, no, I don't have permission.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything about who that individual is. I feel bad that we mentioned that their gender over. So now half the general managers in the country are it's possible. But anyway, what I was saying was that, luxury is such a specified product. It's really obviously at the highest level in our business. Salamander's up there. Mandarin is up there. Outside
Aman, they just opened in New York.
Right. That is an unbelievable deal that just happened in New York City. They're saying that might be one of the most valuable hotel products in New York City. In fact, according to Crane's New York Business, they're actually looking to sell the real estate for $600 million. I can't get access to the full article. I'm just looking at the headline, but that's a pretty big deal if that happens.
Yeah. It's and I have a friend that's involved there, but I can't announce that either yet. But it's really, really exciting. And listen, where everybody else on an average night is charging $1,100-$1,200 for that 5-star product, the Four Seasons, the Peninsula, they're like charging $2,000. So they came into the market saying, "Oh, by the way, we're better. So we're going to be here." And so we'll see how that lasts. We'll see if there is a $2,000 a night guest in New York City. That's the lowest rate.
Well, there is a $2,000 a night guest in New York City. That I guarantee. But the question, Anthony, is will they be getting so much more value than a hotel that's still a luxury hotel, but could be 2/3 the cost? My question to you is, how do they make it so incredible that people find that a good value?
Well, when we go there, and we'll hopefully be doing that sooner rather than later, doing a podcast with the general manager. And Rudy, who is the general manager of the Aman, was the general manager at Trump International back in the day when it opened, and then became the Mandarin Oriental general manager, and now is general manager of Aman. So he's got a lot of experience in New York. But this is the difference. It's not the value. Nobody gives a shit about the value of $2,000 a night. They're past the value. They already know, like, this money is just play money, and I just want not value. I want to feel different.
Right. And I think that feeling different, Anthony, to play into it has to do very specifically, I think, with the Aman's model, because they're more of a membership kind of a thing, right? My understanding is, and I found an article in Bloomberg about this sale and leaseback deal for potentially $600 million. Founding members paid $100,000 initiation fees in a pre-opening period. Since then, the sign-up cost has doubled, not including $15,000 in annual fees on top of that. That's
and that's what I'm talking about. It's like this has got to be not a value-driven proposition, but I want to feel different. I when I was running the Algonquin, we had the cabaret, and it wasn't making any money. And I remember everybody wanting to close it, and I was like, it was over my dead body because I loved it. And on Wednesday night at 9:00, we are selling a cabaret, 9:00 at night on Wednesday. And basically the check is going to be about $400 for 2 people between the cover, the drinks, and the food. And we're bringing in a cabaret singer. Who in God's name at 9:00 at night has the money, the time, and the effort to go to the Algonquin to hear cabaret? People that bought it, sold it, invented it. That's who. People that are already, kids are out of college, kids are on their own, and they have so much money that they're counting it by pounds. They're not counting it by, individually. So we need to give them an experience. So what I told my team was, we're not selling value and we're not selling the voice. We're selling an experience.
That's right.
And we made money, and we did it, and we killed it because we sold an experience and something where they felt something. They felt something. Right. And that's what a hotel at that rate and that kind of positioning is about, feeling something that you've never felt before.
I will see you're feeling something and raise you exclusivity and access as well. What do you think about that?
Yes, of course. I think, again, that goes back to the value. That's the price of doing business. But how many clubs are these people have? How many clubs are they members? How many? They're already in a privileged class. They're already doing things that most people don't get to do. They already got that club membership and most of the things that we can't afford. They've already got. They don't care about value. So what do they have? So I'll raise you back to a feeling, and a feeling can only be projected by a person or teams that truly are passionate about the experience given, not the money they're receiving or the bonuses or even their boss. They're like, I want to make that person feel something. I had a desire on a level that I can never explain to make people feel something at the Algonquin Hotel. And that's what we did. And so to me, the Aman and hotels like that Four Seasons did it. Rich Carlton did it. St. Regis did it. Manny Oriental did it. Now they're saying we do it a little bit better.
Right.
We'll see. We'll
Right.
see.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. But it really gets me thinking about all of the money that's out there and how a lot of these brands and clubs and high-end experiences are all chasing that money out there. Do you think that how much deeper is this luxury market? That same luxury market that saved hotels during COVID, that same luxury market that seems to be recession-proof. How deep is it really? At
Well,
this
two
point,
things. One, I think employees and I think the government bailout saved hotels. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It all comes down to how bad the economy is or goes, or everything's based on the economy. Now, with that said, if you have, say, a hotel like that has to be, or any 5-star hotel, has to be 40%, right? 40%, I'm going to take 20% of those people will have enough money for their generation that's going to live on the moon. So they have way too much money and for generations. So 20% of that 40% or 50% of that 40% is solid.
Yep.
Now, the difference is that 50% that comes in, is rich, but do they have that kind of money?
Right.
That's where that brand lives or dies, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. I'm curious to see with the exchange rate so good with the euro, what the exchange rates can be between the dollar and the moon buck once we get that started. So we'll see.
And whether it be the hotel or whether it be a business, people are so driven, and there are value-driven businesses. Most are.
Heck yeah.
But then you get, even if you're not a very expensive hotel or expensive company, people get caught up in, well, we're giving value. That's fine. But what is it worth to give an experience? What is it worth to get a bottle of water from a desk clerk? What is it to get a bottle, a cold towel when you see a runner coming into your lobby and you hand them a tray with a cold towel on it in a 3.5-star hotel? Yeah. That's a value. That's an experience that, wow, I've never experienced that before.
Right. It just really elevates everything and it makes it seem much more than that 3.5-star hotel that's there. And last week, when I was with our good friends at My Place Hotels at the O Resort over there, it's a 5 diamond resort, according to Forbes, for 2022. It's great because you walk up to the hotel, they've got those cool towels there if you want them. They've got the free bottles of water. They give you champagne on check-in. And it's those little tiny details, I think, that all add up to create that incredible luxury experience, in my opinion.
So, and I look forward to it because I can't wait. I always love when somebody, like, even if somebody's competing against me and they one-up me, I'm like, yes. All right. Now you're going to have a long day tomorrow because now I got to figure out how to beat you.
I'll tell you what, being number one's tough. It's it takes a lot to sustain that.
There's as you know, I follow UFC, and there's a gentleman, Kamaru Usman, who is the champion in the middleweight division, I believe. And he was about to break a record of 16 defended title fights. So he's basically defended his title 15 times, and the record is 16. And by Silva, this guy named Silva. And he was going into the ring and he was winning in the 4th round. In the 5th round, he was dominating the fight. As long as it went the last 2 minutes, which it was 5-minute round, so it was 2 minutes to the fight. Joe Rogan, everybody saying the other guy gave up and this fight's his and, he's going to break the record. Well, guess what? This guy swung a kick into Usman's neck and knocked him out cold. It was the greatest knockout I ever saw in my life.
Wow.
And he won. And Usman is on Joe Rogan a couple days ago, and he said it was a relief. He goes, I wanted to win. He goes, I wanted that record, but that's not why I fight. I fight because I love fighting. And he goes, the pressure from the outside world didn't get to me because I would have won that fight. He just hit me really well. So I'm not taking anything away from him. I lost the fight. And I wanted to win the fight. But I didn't realize I would feel a sense of relief because being number one is really hard. And I thought that was a great, great example. So I think, to back you up, I think that's right. It is hard to be number one.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of effort, and it is exhausting. And when you're there at the top for so long, you really have to dig deep in order to find those reserves. Anthony, when you were at the Algonquin, you guys were, undisputed leaders within your market. How do you sustain that high level day after day, week after week, months into years? Because it gets exhausting because there's no finish line.
Okay. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who is an anesthesiologist. During COVID, he went in every day and he was literally putting people on machines, and he was in the room where COVID was flying around. And he had a mask that they were told, this is in the early beginning stages of COVID. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to him every day. So I really heard in his voice. And I said to him, aren't you scared? He was wearing the same mask over, and I said, aren't you scared to be in the room and potentially get COVID? He said, no. That's why I signed up. That's what I get paid for. I run to work every day. What I'm scared of is I just want a clean mask.
Right.
I love it. So he didn't see it as hard work. He saw it as, if you give me my equipment, this is why you built me. This is why I'm here. And I think the same thing goes to people that achieve a certain level is, what do you mean work? What are you talking about? What do you mean I'm working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week? What do you mean it's a grind? I don't understand what that means. I love what I do.
So what you're really saying is that it becomes part of your being, right? The boundaries between work and not work evaporate if you really are into and feel good about your career choices.
It's breathing. Yeah. It's breathing. It's absolutely breathing, and doesn't mean you don't get tired. Doesn't mean you don't need a break. But like I've told you 100 times, I've never had a bad day in the hotel business.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of challenging days, but never a bad day.
That's pretty incredible out there. So I did want to report real quick on the IHG outage. I mean, it's a big issue that companies are getting hit by cyber attacks, and of course,
I don't mean to laugh, but it was. I called my friend who's a person in IHG, and they go, "What happened?"
Yeah.
Because it happened so fast.
It happened so fast, and it's just like you got to feel compassion for these major companies and these IT people. Yeah, it seems to be the issue seems to be resolved now, but I can't imagine how stressful that must have been for all involved. And it's amazing that you could put so much effort into your cybersecurity, and no matter how well prepared you are, you may not be as prepared as you think.
Yeah, and I've had some experience with this. I was sitting on the board of directors of I'll say a company, mm-hmm. and they got hit, and they had to pay ransom. Yep. And there's a ransom fund in most of these corporations that you pay. It's like you just do it. You just pay it to get your stuff back, and they all handle it so beautifully. And I was the most stressed person in the world, and I had nothing to do with it. I was just sitting on the board, but they were like flawless in the way they handled it. It was impressive, and they got their information back after they paid this ransom. And you've seen it, in the papers for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going away. And listen, our whole world lives on this. I thought the funniest thing in the world I saw, talking about kind of, cybersecurity, and basically we're one cyber attack from the world going back to the caveman ages. Truly. Mm-hmm. Imagine all water and electricity dries up, you're done. What's happening in the West? So I thought it was really funny when in one breath, California said in 2035, you have to have an electric car to live in California.
Right.
The next breath, they said, we're having electrical outages. Do not plug your electric car in.
Right. Yes. I saw that.
It's like, dude, who is your press agent in California?
I know.
Like, don't do those two things so close to each other.
I know.
It makes you look so ridiculous.
Yeah, it really does.
The 2035 initiative, but that's just bad marketing.
It doesn't. A lot of these things don't make a lot of sense to me because if you already know that whatever you do is going to be ultra scrutinized by the people that are out to get you, why do constantly people serve up reasons to get slammed?
How many times have I told you I'm just going to go off on some political thing, and you go, hey, it's your show, it's our show, whatever you want to do it, and I always don't do it.
Yeah,
because I don't want to be pigeonholed, because that opinion has nothing to do with one side of the aisle or the other. It's the opinion of that thing,
Right. That's
right? And so you can't serve it up to people because
welcome to my.
There's a lot of people out there that have nothing to do but to go after people.
People have way too much time. That's why I don't use Twitter too much. That's why I love LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, I've seen maybe one or two ridiculous political things ever. Where
and then when you see what happens, or when you see that, what happens?
I get disgusted by it. I'm like, go to Facebook and be angry over there.
But that's what happens. Everybody on their LinkedIn page, even if they agree with them, say this is not the platform.
That's right.
That's exactly what happens. They get thrown off the platform, even if they're friends. They're like, if my friend wrote something, I say, dude, this is the wrong platform. What are you doing?
Right. That's right. And that's what I love about LinkedIn is that we can connect as professionals, not like some of these other sites that are out there where it seems like they're just trying to create anger and hostility between people to get people to click onto ads, you know?
Yeah. I just actually clicked on an ad the other day and it was interesting to me. And I was like, let me click on it. And then I clicked on it and the rest of the headline was whatever it was, I can't remember, was like, oh, no, it's not. It's like, you got me. Because all they do is they get paid by the clicks.
That's right.
But there's going to be a different system soon because there's got to be.
There has to be something that's different. I'm getting tired of headlines. You know, I came from a journalism background early in my career before I became more of a commentator, and it drives me nuts when I see headlines that are basically clickbait. They don't tell you the truth of what's in the article and what they're trying to say. It just drives me nuts.
You know, I'll give you another analogy. When I was a wrestler, I wrestled at 92 pounds. I was a junior in high school, and yes, I was 92 pounds. And I get on the mat, 97. At that time, it was 97. I was 97 pounds, and I get on the mat at South Shore High School in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And this guy gets on the mat, and he is muscle bound. How can a 97-pound person be muscle bound?
Right.
This guy, I think he was on steroids before I knew what steroids were. And I look at my coach, and I start laughing. I'm like, there's a mistake here.
Right.
And Jeff Banks was my coach, and he pointed to the mat like pay attention.
Yeah.
We blow the whistle.
Yeah.
I pick him up. I do my signature move under and over. I picked this guy up to the moon, and I slammed him on his back.
Oh.
He was completely out of air, and I pinned him. And he was like the state champion, and I pinned him.
Nice.
Wait, the moral of the story is there was nothing inside. It was all just he sculpted his body, but he had no strength. And I was skinny, but I was strong. And I literally picked him up like he was a feather and knocked him down, and I won. That to me is social media, and 90% of the shit that's out there. It looks like it's really interesting, really powerful, but there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
It's empty calories.
That's the perfect analogy. I freaking love that. Because it's true. I mean, it's really not helping you to go down that hole of social media. I've done a good job at separating myself from it, except I would encourage all of you to check out all of our incredible social media posts because they're here to educate, empower, and entertain you out there.
TikTok, I'm half addicted. I'm doing better, but there are some things on TikTok that, especially older people that just sit there in their chair and they look at the camera and tell you the way life is. I love it. It's like they're not political. They're just telling you the way the life is.
Yep. Yeah. Helene is my wife, for those who don't know. She just keeps showing me videos of guys, dads coming in and standing in rooms and looking at nothing. She thinks that's absolutely hysterical.
Well, the father gets the short end of the stick on all the TikToks.
Yeah, and I blame major network sitcoms for that, for making the husband the oblivious fool all of the time.
Well, we usually are. Archie Bunker was an oblivious fool.
That is 100% correct.
Okay, but now on the other side, George Jefferson was an oblivious fool, right?
I'm sorry.
George Jefferson. So if you look at both of them, the black and the white side of it, like you couldn't put that back on TV today. But what they did was they showed a white person that had no ability to understand a black person's reality, and a black person kind of showing what his reality was. And today, and to me, as a kid that grew up basically around both, like I loved it because it was kind of like what I was seeing, and I didn't I appreciated that this was like showing like this is wrong, this is right. Now you can't even like. Could you imagine if George Jefferson or Archie Bunker was on TV today?
They couldn't be on TV today.
They couldn't be.
No, it's really incredible. In fact, producer Norman Lear has tried to reintroduce those types of programs. I believe he did All in the Family with a African American family that moved into that physical house, but it didn't work because the times had changed so much.
You want to see the best show on television that nobody's watching?
Yeah,
it's on BET television. And it's called Miss Pat. Miss Pat is the black Archie Bunker.
Oh,
and she gets on it, and it is hysterical.
Yep. Right. Cool. All right. I got another topic I wanted to talk to you about. Now, Anthony, it doesn't seem so long ago that in the hotel industry, you didn't really do a whole lot of traveling in July or August. There were very few events. And this past August, I did the My Place event. I had a speaking gig with Honeywell. I know that there are a couple of other events out there. I think the Midwest Lodging Summit, the Hotel Data Conference, a whole bunch of things like that. And it got me thinking, what's going on with the amount of meetings and how they've grown? Well, according to Noland, and our good friends over there, we had their CEO, Jeff Bezovka, on our show right at High Tech. So go check out that show either side of June 23rd, I believe that episode was. So according to monthly meetings and events data for August, in the last year, August versus August, reporting grew 136.1% for this year. Additionally, August increased 6.7% over July of 2022. Plus, average event attendees increased. Average number of events in August was 108 this year compared to 68 in August of last year and 92 in August of 2019. I got some more stats on that stuff from Nolan, but what has this got you thinking now about that meetings business? Because after all, Anthony, it's one of those group questions we keep asking a lot of our guests.
Well, we're in the we're at the stage of COVID. As long as there's not another bad strain, that's a flu shot, and so everybody's back to work. Yep. So it makes perfect sense. If it wasn't like that, I'd be like, "Is there another pandemic I don't know about?"
Yeah, right.
And it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's what we anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah. Top 5 growth markets compared to July of 2022 include Denver, Dallas, San Jose, Raleigh, Durham, and Phoenix. And I'll be out in Phoenix in a week and a half for the lodging conference. Looking forward to getting everywhere over there. Also, this is an interesting factoid that I think plays right into what you were mentioning with COVID. Average space used per person decreased over 2021. Average space used last month was 2,670 feet compared to 2,490 feet the year before. Interesting. Maybe it says to me that we don't have to space people out as much, so you can get by with smaller rooms.
Yeah, that's an interesting note. I don't know if that matters or makes sense. I don't know. That's one of those inside baseball things that statisticians are like saying, he wears red cleats. Okay.
Yep. Right.
I don't know what that means.
All right, cool. All right, how about this one? I got one last factoid from the good folks over at Nolan. Corporate meetings continue to dominate the segment. And if you guys want to check this out, go to novacancynews.com where we have all this information posted. The corporate segment, according to them, represents 63.5% of the meetings and events business, with healthcare, tech, training, education are the leads in the industry segment. So from a recovery point standpoint, compared to August 2019, online, retailer, tobacco, construction, urban infrastructure, and agriculture were the top ones back then.
Yeah, but that's what it was almost always.
Yep.
So it's getting back to normal.
According to, Christy White, Chief Product Officer, says August recovered to 85.3% of 2019 levels. So pretty good.
Well, as a person that's been in Manhattan the last 2 days, oh my God, it is busy.
Yeah. As a person who traveled to Manhattan on Tuesday, and go check out our great show live from the Moxie that we did on Tuesday, 47 miles from New York City proper, from Times Square, 3-hour drive each direction. How spectacular is that?
Lucky. You got time for yourself.
I'll tell you, the entire time I felt like I was in LA. I was going so slow.
Okay, I have a problem, right? You're coming, we go into COVID, everybody disappears. So you don't really know what the fashion trends are, right? The fashion trends were your pajamas, right?
Sweatpants.
So, or the fashion trend was kind of what we're wearing now. I'm wearing
Yeah.
a sports jacket with a shirt and my sports shorts on, right?
Yep.
That's basically the fashion trend. But
Yeah, I got shorts on.
remember the time where there was bell bottoms and long pants, and then everybody stopped wearing socks and they were wearing their
I
pants up to
mean,
their
I was
knees?
barely sentient in 1973, but I do remember.
I never got into the short pants over your ankle kind of business suit thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody did, and then it went away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? There are a lot of naked ankles walking around New York City right now. There was a guy, I saw about 10 guys today in suits, and not like 20, like they were like 30, 35, where their pants were above their ankles with no socks on. One guy had no back to his shoe. It was a dress shoe with sandal,
Right.
with his ankles showing. And I was like, no. Does that make me old?
That and a lot of other things, Anthony. What do you got?
I didn't like that. I was just saying, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of fashion trends out there, but I believe it or not, this shirt's green. That's all I have to say. It's coming through as gray on the
Yeah,
on
it does
the-
look great.
on
Hey,
the
so
TV.
you're finished giving me stats that are blowing my
I
brains out.
do. I do. I'm done.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, hell yeah.
What's the difference between showing up for yourself and standing up for yourself?
Showing up for yourself is something that you have to do, I think, every single day. It's more about that internal struggle of saying, yes, I'm good. Yes, I can succeed. And these are the things I have to do in order to get that. Standing up for yourself is not allowing others to influence how you feel.
Right. So if you are a person that really doesn't stand up for themselves very often, but they show up for themselves, could you be that person, or they're mutually exclusive, or they're not mutually exclusive?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive in terms of definition, but I think you have to have the skills on both sides of those in order to be ultimately successful and garner respect from everybody.
Right. Are people usually good at doing both?
I think people are better at doing one over the other.
Which one?
I think people, that's a good question. Let me think about this because it could go either way. I'm going to go with people are better at standing up for themselves, but I don't think are there for themselves because they either reset to a negative opinion of themselves or are beset with the feeling that they can't do it and can't achieve, and therefore deny themselves the ability to succeed by taking care of yourself.
So, Glenn, on that note, I'm going to, when they say you serve people up, I just served you up.
Yep.
You were invited to buy my book, Show Up.
Hey, awesome. I love that.
Because one of the things I've realized is no one's written that book before. No one has ever said what I just said. Have you ever heard anywhere in any book, anytime, somebody say that?
No, maybe Nietzsche talked about it, but I don't know.
Right. But you have not.
Yeah.
No one's really said, oh, there's a difference. And what's the difference? The difference is when I was younger, I stood up for myself, but I didn't show up for myself.
Right.
So I would tell people to go screw off, but I was screwing myself.
Right.
Now I do both. And a lot of times I'm showing up for myself, but not standing up for myself. I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go because showing up for myself is so much more powerful and stronger because by not standing up for myself, I'm getting where I need to go. If I stand up for myself, this might derail everything I'm planning on doing.
Right. So I think it's important to say
that management of those two things are critical for your overall success.
Now, when you're talking about standing up for yourself, and that is something that you do, I think what you're talking about is choosing in the moment the right reaction to have, what the long-term goals that you have as an individual, and that guides you towards the type of standing up you should be doing in any situation.
Right. So
is that accurate?
If I walk away and I look weak because I have a bigger agenda, I'm really not standing up for myself, but I'm showing up for myself.
Right.
So I don't need to tell you my plan. I don't need to share my plan with you. You know how many people had no idea that I was doing half the things I've done in my career. Nobody knew until they knew.
Yeah.
And so there's many times where I was just sucking up or kissing ass or doing whatever I need to do to just, hit the escape hatch. And people really need to understand both and which one in which situation is more powerful for themselves. Because if I have this goal, but I'm going to let this guy run all over me, this girl run all over me, if that goal, if standing up for myself is going to kill my goal, do I really want my goal or do I really want to show up for myself? And sometimes screw my goal. I ain't letting this person get away with this. And if that hurts me in the end, I'm going to take a risk. It may or may not hurt me. But if it does hurt me, I don't care because I can't let that person deal with that. And lots of people, most people suck at both. Yeah. Some people are good at one, some people are good at one. But very few people I've met in my career can do both.
Yeah. So let's real quick in terms of the standing up for yourself. Let's just go through the matrix of when you really need to stand up for yourself in a big way or just kind of take a deep breath and ignore the situation.
If I can interrupt you and just kind of tell you from where I stand, my gut. Yeah. If my gut hurts and I feel like I'm going to throw up, I got to go. There's no thinking, and that usually takes a second. Like people say, well, that's reactive. No. My system is so fine-tuned that I know what that. So I'm 57. That immediately has to happen. Back in the day, I would have to go home and be upset and cry or whatever I had to do. But now, if I go, you're in trouble because that means in that computer already filtered everything out, and you're in trouble. So my gut tells me that a lot of times. Yeah. If I'm really, really quiet, my gut's telling me you're about to derail your whole life. Shut up. But I can get to that really quickly. Most people need to go take a breath and kind of figure it out because, maybe they're younger or they have less experience.
Right. And I'll tell all of the folks out there, listening to your gut is a real thing. If you read Malcolm Gladwell's Blink book, it really kind of goes into this whole philosophy that gut reaction is something that we feel based on all of your life experiences and everything we know. And it's an instantaneous warning about a particular situation. While we may not have the fully thoughts of each thing that brought us to that, we know. And I'll tell you, Anthony, any time in my life that something has gone wrong, I can always attribute it back to not listening to my gut or my instincts.
They always say, the first is the best, right? So if you look at, like even when I was doing the show and if we did it 2 or 3 times because they didn't get the lighting right or whatever, it's like, okay, I'll do it again. I have to go up through that door and say it again because we all know it's not a scripted show. And they always use the first take with the bad lighting.
Yeah, because it just felt real and organic because it was.
Yeah, the first is the best. But so we're going to examine showing up for yourself as opposed to standing up for yourself. Because those two things are very, very complicated. And if you show up for yourself but don't stand up for yourself, what happens? What are the bad things that can happen? What are the consequences? If you show up or if you stand up for yourself and you overreact or whatever, or you react in the moment, what are the consequences? And that's another thing, part of the book, is accept the consequences. Like, not only accept them, enjoy them, love it. You made a bad effing decision. Holy shit, you were the stupidest person you ever met. Now you got to suffer the consequences. And they hurt. You got to deal with them in a way of break out who you're going to blame. If you can't blame anybody but yourself, you got to live in that stewish shit. And then you become bigger and hopefully better than what you were. Right.
And I would also say, don't blame others, but don't blame yourself. Just take action.
No, it's your fault. It's always your fault. And when you forget your fault, I always say blame yourself. Always blame yourself because
I don't say blame myself. I say look at the circumstances and understand your role in it and fix it. I find, not to get all nuancy with parsing phrases and stuff like that, but blame to me connotes excuse as opposed to accepting responsibility. That's kind of why I look at it a little differently with that.
Okay. Yeah. And you're like, right. You can go down that rabbit hole all week. Yeah. And you're right, because I accept responsibility. So I don't like the word blame either. Accepting responsibility is accepting blame. It's accepting whatever you want to call it. But so it's really diving into that. And one of the reasons I don't read those kind of books that you just talked about, and I don't read, and I literally go out of my way not to. I see them like, oh, I want to read that. I don't, because this has been such a labor of love of writing this book. I had to get to this by myself without any influence, because Blink is in my book without me reading Blink. There are stories where I blinked and made a decision, which actually I just this is one of the best stories of my career before I ever knew what Blink meant. But how do you get to know that? It's not only experiences. It's like a moral code, right?
Yeah.
We all have different moral codes, and I will give you everything, but you must say please and thank you. I will give you nothing if you are dying in the street if you don't say please and thank you. That's just the way I'm wired. And I think my gut tells me if that person didn't say please and thank you, but they can make me a lot of money, I'm probably not interested, because somewhere, someday, I'm going to tell them to go screw off.
Yeah, right. Agreed. All right, so it looks like the comments aren't really coming through today. LinkedIn comments are not working, for example. So, Sarthak, hello to you too. It's good to.
Are they not coming through, or they're just not working?
I mean, they're happening on LinkedIn. It's just we're not seeing them come through to our mechanism here. So I can't read any of them. Anything else you want to talk about? I feel we've got a good
maybe our
show.
producer can find some and throw them up there.
That's all right.
Just the importance of, don't assume because somebody's quiet that they're not showing up for themselves. And don't assume because somebody's not quiet, they're showing up for themselves. Because that person that's not quiet may be standing up for themselves, but screwing their career over. And that person who's quiet and not kind of squaring up is probably going to be the person that wins sometime, most of the time, because they got a plan. And understanding both, we always say side gig, side gig, side gig. Okay, but your side gig has got to be beautifully planned. So when you land, it's because there's a difference between I want to try this and I'm going to do this. Think about the psychology of that. The psychology of that.
Hey, listen, I learned that Yoda taught me that in 1983. There is no try, just do. Right?
Stop bringing up references when I think I'm a genius and the first one's ever said this. But
listen, I mean, Yoda is from a galaxy far, far away, many years ago, so it doesn't count.
But again, people use quotes and people use that, but they forget it. How many times do you pout and you say, "Oh, this is too hard," or "This is too hard," and then you just say, "Whoa, what are you trying or are you doing? Like, what are you doing?"
Yep. Yeah. Doggy Trader says Bruce Lee was afraid of the quietest person in the room.
To this day,
I am
petrified of my partner, Jeremy Pinkerton. I am petrified of her. She is the quietest person in the room. That is a black belt in communication.
All right. Hey, just tuning in. Heard something about a book. Anthony, do you have a book title yet? He's asking.
Yes, it is called Stand Up for Yourself. You were not born to be a bystander.
Excellent. Awesome. Any idea when we might get it published? And by we, I mean you, because I have nothing to do with it. All right, tune in for the continuing saga.
I am telling you, by January 1st, it will be a full book. Will it be distributed? No, but it will be ready.
Okay. Excellent.
And you know how I distribute it? Let's vote on this. Let's vote. We're going to vote on this right now.
Yeah.
It's the first time I had this idea and I haven't spoken about it. I may have asked you privately, but I've only asked one person. I can't remember who it was. I didn't even ask him. I think I told him. This is how I'm thinking about releasing my book.
Yeah.
All right. And I want to vote. So I want comments on,
all right.
and I want everybody's comment, including you, Suzanne, but put it, in the green, in the
private
chat.
I
want to distribute it.
Yeah.
I want to read it on TikTok.
Like the whole thing at once or one sentence at a time?
No, 60-second pieces every day at a certain time. Take the book and edit it for TikTok and read it on TikTok, and don't release the book until after I do that, or release the book and then do that. What do you think? People read their books, right? So everybody's listening on tape right now. I've never heard of anybody doing that. I never heard of that either. Certification program. Okay, I'll give you that to you. But what do you think, Glenn?
I think that's a great idea, but I would put the book out first. So when people are inspired with those 60-second clips, that they go ahead and click a link and buy the book.
Oh, when the book is out. Yeah. I won't do it before the book is
Yeah.
ready to distribute, of course. That's the marketing idea, but no one's ever.
No, I've never heard of that before.
Right. And that's why,
Yeah.
listen, I got to keep my edge up. I have to do upside down thinking. It's upside down thinking. Do it exactly the way everybody would say that won't work.
Yeah, you certainly do. All right, Anthony. It's about time.
Everybody,
What's that?
anybody saying anything? Just tuning in, heard something. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
No,
right. Yeah.
No one's voting on it.
No, it's all right. We got to get out of here anyway. I got a call that I got to go do.
Just when we're getting to good stuff, you become that straight man that doesn't go deep. Like I think we have another 15 minutes.
I know, but we got a call. It's about an important thing that we're going to be doing
time's your
in
call?
Las Vegas.
What time's your call? Oh, we have a call?
No, I'm handling it. Don't
Oh.
worry. It has it has to do with an incredible interview that we're scheduled to do. We have to work out some
Ooh.
logistics. And
But
things
that
like
call's not till 1:15.
No, it's at 1.
Oh, it is at 1.
Yeah.
Why would you
All right.
schedule one when we go to 1:00? I don't understand you. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. Like you haven't done that. Let's see. What
Every
episode
single
is-
day of my life.
Yeah, this is episode 683. So you've done about 635
I have
times.
no credibility when it comes to the discipline of this show. I have zero credibility. The show is me showing up and having fun.
But a lot of credibility when the words coming out of your mouth. All right, everybody.
What did you
Okay.
learn today? Wait, I'm going to give you one more minute. What? I'm going to force you one more minute. What resonated with you today? And everything we talked about, what's the one thing that resonated with you today that you learned?
What's the one I didn't learn anything today, but I do think that your distinction between standing up for yourself and standing up for yourself is the quintessential question we have to ask each and every one of ourselves, right? I mean, is it, it's something that I think we really need to think through and really rationalize in order how to really stand up for ourselves while also taking care of ourselves and being there for ourselves. I think one of the problems. Yeah, go on.
Go ahead. No, it's one of the problems. What?
I was gonna say one of the problems that I've had in my life and journey is I'm always fighting my natural setting, which is do nothing. I always feel like I have to push through it and be there for myself. It's easy for me to stay in bed or to hang out and do nothing and watch TV. That's not really standing up for myself. That's allowing life to happen to me and I don't have any control over it. So I'm constantly fighting that battle every day to stand up for myself by getting out and being active and doing stuff.
Yeah, standing up for yourself has nothing to do with emotional and want. You don't want to do the things that you have to do sometimes, but you just do them. You get out of bed and you do them, and you
Right.
you don't have to like them. You have to sometimes you dislike it, but you still have to do it. And and one of the things I'll leave you with, my friend.
Mhm.
I have one more minute, right? So I'll go.
Yeah.
We have been fighting for years this culture that we have to build a culture within a business, and then we hire people that fit our culture.
Mhm.
I'm going to challenge that and say,
Mhm.
of course you're going to build a culture, and of course you have to have standards and you have to believe in something. So
Mhm.
building cultures is important and it's critical to a great company.
Mhm.
However, we've been fitting people into the culture. What I'm telling people is screw the culture, fit yourself into your culture, that when you're aligned with the business culture, not so much aligned with you, but you adapt to it and you accept it because you understand how to stand up for yourself and how to show up for yourself. But
Right.
and that's why people are now with flex time and all this other shit that I believe in. And I think people should be having the way they want to work, should want to work the way they want to work, and still live in that culture. How do employers get into their employee brain and understand they're not a threat to you by not questioning your culture, but by kind of surfing in your culture their way? They're not a threat to you. They are the goal. They are what you want your employees to be. And we've done an incredibly bad job of that all these years, that now hopefully when you read the book and you people will understand
Mhm.
that it's not about falling into the culture, it's surfing within the culture, and you can be very, very successful, but the employer has got to understand that.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Does that make
Yeah.
any sense?
No, makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense to me. All right, everybody. Next week is housekeeping week, and I think this would be a good time to remind everybody to vote for an amazing housekeeper, nominate them for this incredible awards that Cintas is out there doing. We'll talk more about that next week as well.
Shine Award is the best award in the business. It
Yep.
basically awards the greatest housekeeper in the world, a prize package that is put on by Cintas. And it's so please go to CintasShineAwards.com and please nominate your favorite housekeeper.
Yes, they win money. Your hotel wins prize package too of all sorts of great supplies. Plus, it shows that you care. All right, everybody, make sure if you are watching us, why not listen to us on audio? Of course, we're available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, at NoVacancyNews.com, and anywhere you get your podcasts, we are there for you. And if you happen to be listening to this stream and want to watch us, feel free to do that. You can follow us on any social media channel that we've got out there. Anthony's LinkedIn pages, my LinkedIn pages, our respective Facebook pages, NoVacancyNews.com, of course, YouTube, and elsewhere. Well, good show today. So I always like these Ask Anthony and Glenn's. I think that's why we're doing them so much more.
These are our best podcasts, I believe, because it really allows us to kind of just talk the way we talk.
Yep. Speaking about best podcasts, I'm sure next week we're going to have 3 great shows for you, including one with Ron Pohl, who is the CEO of World Hotels, owned by Best Western. He used to be the number 2 at Best Western. Got a great promotion last year for this job. So I can't wait to talk to him and catch up with him.
And I am a Ron Paul lookalike, so I look forward to it.
Yeah. So join us for that. That'll be interesting. Try to figure out who is talking at each time. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. And remember, you got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see you then.